Right. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Stephen van Basten, turning the tables on Doc Ant and talking to him about his book, The Discipline Lifestyle. So how are you doing today,
Fa-
Dr. Anthony van
Fantastic to
Tonder?
be here, Stephen. And it's really encouraging. I mean, you started with the interview, but there's one thing I want to say is that when it comes to what we're talking about, you have just shown yourself a master of this very topic because you've just got your fifth Dan. I think that's worth a mention. You and your wife, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yes. And in terms of discipline, there's lots of aspects of that. But I think the biggest one is the discipline. Like the last 3 months, we've probably done some form of karate training 6 days a week,
Yeah.
sometimes seven. So and mostly for 45 to 60 minutes. So and also every morning we actually wake up. The first thing we do is we do some yoga, which is nice and stretching on the bones and the body,
Yeah.
a little bit of breathing and a little bit of meditation. But that's every single morning. So sometimes Jax leaves here at 6 a.m. So we wake up at 5. We do them and like it's easy to go, it's 5 o'clock, it's an early day, let's not do the yoga. It's only 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, couple of important poses for various reasons, but there's lots of discipline in it.
Mm.
And then years and years, I mean, I started at 5 years old,
Wow.
stopped and started and stopped and started for various reasons, mostly business and work related, and some politics, of course. But yes, it's just the discipline of going over and over and over. And in fact, I'm going to give you this thought. I'm
Yeah.
going to give you this thought because I'm talking too much and it's supposed
No,
to be
no, no.
about
I'm
you,
I'm
right?
actually thinking one thing, and you're talking about discipline every single day. I mean, if I think of a common friend that we have, Dr. John C. Maxwell. I mean, he is an author. As we know, he's written many books. And when you ask him when does he write, and he says every day. How long? 15 minutes. And I said to him, every day. He said every day. And I just said in terms of your discipline that you and Jack do it every single day. You know what?
Yes,
That's one of the first problems that people have. They do not have what it takes to do it every day. If they weren't breathing normally, I wonder who would stop breathing. You know what I mean?
exactly, exactly. And then people, as far as I'm concerned, I don't look 60, right? People go, you don't look 60. What's the secret? And then, I don't make them blush with the real truth. I give them this. It's like it's discipline. It's regime, right? You can't take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C once a month and then go to the gym once every 3 months. I know regime is not a good word in South Africa, but it's a regime in the true form of it. It's a habit. We eat
Correct.
well every day. We take vitamins every day. We exercise every week. We look after our bodies on purpose, but over decades. And it's the decades that makes the difference, not a
Yeah.
week or two.
Consistency over a period of time is a winning formula.
Yes, but I have a very cool memory of you and your discipline. We were playing golf in Sun City, and I was ready
Yes.
to go and chow. Yeah, ready to go and chow, and you go, no, I've got to make my bed first. And I go, thinking to myself, has this dude never been in a hotel before? Does he know that someone comes and makes the bed? I go, Doc, someone's going to make the bed for you. He said, no, this is my discipline.
That's right.
You can tell us who gave you this teaching that
Well,
every day you make your own bed. So tell us about that.
it actually comes from childhood, and that is that it's just something that I personally have been doing all my life. And funny enough, when I saw a military clip of a military guy that's
Yeah.
saying, if you want to start your day, the right way is to make your bed. I went, yes, at least somebody like me. But the
But
most
my
beautiful thing
parents
is,
taught me something good.
and the most beautiful thing is that the wife that I married is exactly the same. And that is that in our married life, the very first thing we do every day, after saying thank you in the morning and being grateful, we make our bed together every
Wow.
single day. You'll never walk into our house with an unmade bed. Never.
Really?
It's
No,
and that is something that makes us like this. We, in fact, very, very unique. People go, what? Yep. So married a person that's exactly like me in that case, and that works. That works.
not 100%. And I mean, even in marriage, one of the things, I'm in a 32-year marriage. We've been together 36 years. So there's some discipline there as well. Sometimes you have to say no to other offers, right? That would be very nice, but I'm married.
That is true. That is very true. It
So
takes some
there's some
guts.
discipline that oh yeah, and sometimes you think, geez, that was brave and stupid.
I think we're all human. I mean, it's going to happen. But the thing is, discipline is living by choice in terms of deciding the way that you live. That's why it's the discipline lifestyle. Discipline is not something that you switch on and off. Like when you walk into a room, you put on the light switch. When you walk out, you switch it off. It doesn't work that way. It's either something that is there all the time or it's not all the time. And in fact, that was one of the reasons why the book came into fruition, because it's a question of what went through my mind is think about it. How many people start exercising and then they stop exercising? How many people go on a new way of
Hundreds,
eating,
thousands.
and then they stop the dedicated way of eating, a new diet or just a new way of eating? How many people start saving money? They're resolute. They want to become debt free. And then they stop doing that. How many people say that I'd like to start my day with a spiritual devotion every day? They do it for 2, 3 weeks and they stop doing it.
Mm.
So it really, if I look at that, is all the aspects of life, the real values of life in terms of whether it's physical, it's social, it's emotional, social, and it's financial. Guess what? If you do not have the consistency to do it every single day, you will never be successful because you want the disciplined lifestyle. A lifestyle says it's a way of doing things. It's not just a word in your vocabulary.
100%. Now, John De Martini has an interesting thought. Give me your reaction to this. That things that are high in your values, you'll have discipline around. Things that are unimportant, you won't. So one of the ways of working out, what's going to work, which goals are going to work, where you'll be disciplined over a period of time is if it's important enough to you.
Actually, I have a little bit of a different view about it. Generically, that is what could be possible in most homes. However, what about the person that truly has discipline? I mean, I can tell you one thing. I don't like doing exercise every morning. So the fact that I like doing it and the fact that I'm disciplined are two different things, because of a decision to remain disciplined even if I do not feel like it. Same as you. You have to challenge yourself. It's not because you like doing exercise every day. Yes, maybe you see the value, but I mean, sometimes when you're tired and it's just a yucky day and you don't feel like doing this, your exercise. But if you say you do it every day, you do it every day. So that's the difference. So I believe it is possible that one of your values, very close to your top 5, would be the word discipline. That means that you approach everything through the ambit of being disciplined. How about that?
Well, I like it enough. The areas like I'm highly disciplined, as you know, but yeah, like you go to my car right now, you'll have to close your eyes because my car's a mess. Yours isn't. My car's dirty. Yours isn't. You go to my bedroom, my pens are next to my bed on the floor. Yours aren't. So the areas that I'm very undisciplined in because I don't care. Quite frankly, it's not important enough. You know what I mean?
I must be honest with you, I can't think of any area where I would not be disciplined. I mean, you know what I mean? Unless, yeah, we've got influencing factors. Let's say, for instance, I go for a stress period. I can tell you one thing. I battle with my eating plan. I really do. Because I want to eat anything. Because that's the way I actually contain my stress. And they call it stress eating.
Yes.
That's a big thing.
Yes.
And, and it will never go away. I need to be aware of that every single time. And I actually was one time, a guy was looking at me at a time when I was much heavier than what I'm now. And I said to him, they said to me, what's your excuse? And I said to him, well, I try. And he says, no, you don't try. You are what you eat. So what do you mean? He says, every time you open your mouth, you have to blame yourself. There's nobody that forces, nobody forces that mouth open and shoves something down your throat. You choose to eat. He says, but the thing is, but most probably you choosing to eat the wrong stuff. And that's true, Stephen. But to remain a balanced lifestyle in terms of eating the right foods and this is what we should be eating, it costs money. There's no doubt about it.
100%.
When times are tough, hey, peanut butter and bread has to do. That's life.
Yeah. End of month salty cracks in the middle of the month.
That's it. You can't fake that. I mean, either
No.
you have it if you haven't got it. One of those things.
tell me about your book, The Discipline Lifestyle. I see there's 6 authors. So
That's right.
firstly, what's the thinking behind the book and the 6 authors? And then we'll get on to your chapter in it.
Okay, sure. Well, just there it is. That's what it looks like. The discipline lifestyle. Okay, it's got that little tree of wisdom here in the corner, and it's got the brain up there for you to think. So it's all about behavior. And if you look at the tree, we all know that the values of a tree. It can look beautiful on the outside, can have the leaves, can have the trunk, but it's how deep are the roots. And I think it's one of those reasons why how deeply are you rooted in terms of your way of doing things. How it came about is that I've this is not my first book that I've authored. I've authored another book that I was very, very successful in. But this time I just sort of felt, why do it all by yourself? Why don't you ask market industry specialists, each in their area, to come and add value in the areas that you're thinking about? Because as I was going along, I realized there's a physical aspect. Someone has to do the physical part. That's the exercise and routine, etc. Then there's the social aspect in terms of how much time you spend on social media, etc. I said, well, that's a different person. Then there's the emotional aspect, and that is that how do you handle adversity? Do you control those emotions or don't you? Then there's the financial aspect, and that is how do you control your finances and also run a lifestyle through a budget? And then lastly, what about your spiritual discipline? When I looked at that, I said, within each of those categories, I actually know a specialist, but there's one thing that goes across all those 5 areas, and that's one thing, and that is behavior. Now, behavior is my thing. And I actually realized, hold on, why don't you stick to your knitting, and why don't you write about that part of it, the behavioral part within each one of those aspects? Firstly, the overall description of how behavior plays a role, how you can modify it, how you can go to the next level. But then within each of those, let's face it, if you talk about the first thing, physical, it's as easy as that. People say they're going to exercise, but they just don't get to doing it. It takes discipline, and it takes your behavior change. Now we'll talk about habits. We know if we are able to do something 21 days in succession, the chances are that we have created a new habit. But people even battle to get to pass by 6, by day 9. I mean, they just cannot do it. That's why they battle to grow new habits. So I decided, okay, why don't you write in your part, which is behavior modification? How do you change your behavior? And then ask a specialist, each in these areas, to write about the 6 other areas. And that's why I just approached all the people that I knew that were excellent at each of their topics, and then they each wrote on these. But at the end of each of their chapters, I did contextualization. Like the person, Saria van Wijngaard, wrote on physical discipline. She is a instructor. She's a yoga instructor. She does all of that. I mean, she's got the body that everybody wants because she's got discipline to do it on every single day. All right. But at the end of her chapter, I would contextualize and say, how does it come into play in terms of who you are through who you are? Where I clearly take the 4 behavioral types and say, if you're the driver type, well, this is, you either go flat out and you overdo it, or you actually don't do it at all. Why? It's because of that choice. And then I went through the 3 other styles. So I actually approaches from each one of those. What would the driver do? What would the influencer do? How would the supporter handle this? Now, how would the conscientious kind of person handle it as well? So I've been contextualized each one of those topics through the hierarchy of needs, and I address them in terms of this is how behavior influences what you do or what you don't do.
That's very interesting. When I think about my physical body, I'm actually very strong. I've got strong legs, strong shoulders, strong arms, fat stomach. I've got muscle memory and fat memory. And at 60, it's hard to lose the abdominal stuff.
Yeah,
even more, I have this thing about, actually, Doc, I have this thing about discipline, right?
Yeah.
So, and it, like when I tell people normal or other people this, then they go, yes, that's a bit hardcore. Huh?
Yeah.
But to me, discipline is you stick to your diet on Christmas Day.
That is a bit hardcore. I'll be honest with you. Because if there's one thing I've learned with discipline, and that is that although you choose to do something, we also know that your body needs a cycle of good and bad. I can tell you that so many people have gone to a point where they've been on an eating plan, and they reach a plateau, and they just cannot break through. And I said, well, you need to confuse your body. Have Christmas tomorrow. What do you mean? Eat whatever you want, as much as you want, and just overindulge, and literally shock the body, and then back to your routine again. And sometimes the body just needs that, because it just makes a difference. That's my belief
Just needs
in
a
adjustment.
pizza. I'm going for a pizza
Yeah.
tomorrow. Doc N told me, can I have a prescription, please, Doc?
I
One
believe it.
big pizza.
So allow
So, yes,
yourself to be human. Well, John Maxwell
yeah,
would have differed. He said every day. Well, no, I don't believe in that personally. I think that you need to have a balance in life, but I need your focus and your balance needs to sort of come to an equation where you keep that balance beam in the middle.
here's my thinking behind it.
Yeah.
And I think there's something important here. And I agree with you, it's hardcore Christmas, but still, here's my thinking. You're on a mission to do something, and you make an agreement. I'm going to eat well, or I'm going to exercise well, or I'm going to not drink, whatever that might be. I think that the first time you break it and you eat or you drink or you don't exercise, just starts the giving yourself permission to fail.
True.
It's easier than the second time and the third time. So I have this thing, and Jackie just laughs at me. Go, we're not going to do yoga this morning. This is the start of the rot.
But Stephen, I cannot falter that way of thinking, because it's true. Because if you can break it once, you can break it a second time. Take an alcoholic or an ex-alcoholic, with all due respect. You meet people and they say, I've been, hi, my name is so, I've been clean for 12 years. And they say to yourself, in 12 years, have you ever just had one? No. Because they realized that one will lead to a second.
Equals
and
10.
That's it. And so very, very, very few people have got that amount of self-discipline. Because remember, there's discipline, but the applied self-discipline is that makes the difference. Because discipline can be a word.
Yeah.
Self-discipline is an action, is a way of living.
You're making me smile because I'm remembering something. It's a little bit naughty there, but I'm going to risk it today.
Tell
At
me.
school,
Yeah.
At school, we got discipline, right? We got caned. We got clapped. Now we have to pay good money to get someone to do that to
us. Yeah, you're in a dream world. Well, depends
dear.
on what you want to do. But I think somehow people that are serious about a personal value system will find it easier to maintain discipline than actually not maintaining it. I personally have found that setting goals for specific periods works best. Like, for instance, if I want to go and say, address the weight issue. For me to say, firstly, yes, it becomes a lifestyle. You start eating the right way. But when you focus and say, I'm going to do it for 21 days, and for 21 days, even if Christmas is in the middle of that, you're right. I will not break my code for 21 days. If you can stick out a focus period, you can actually fix anything in your life, because every time you bring focus to a situation and bring discipline to it, you can change. And like I said to you, remember, anything that's been done for 21 days becomes a new habit. And yeah, up to you. You choose what you want to do.
In my life, let me talk about my life rather than in general or in Europe. Like your paradigm and my paradigm might be different. But for me, let's say, for example, we want to eat well.
Yeah.
We want to go off alcohol to help to lose weight.
Yeah.
Then your wife's 50th birthday party comes up, or Easter comes up. You got to have some chocolate for Jesus, eh? Or a party comes, or a farewell comes up, or and if you have a higher value on your family,
yeah,
and being part of your family and being gesellig, beautiful Afrikaans word, eh? Being gesellig.
True.
Then that thing goes, because this is more important than this.
Well, that's why everything goes with goal setting. If you think about it, discipline is goal setting. before Michelle and I do anything, let's say we decide on 21 days, we will look and say, right, is there anything in between there that could cause us to stumble? Like there's Christmas in there, okay? Let's then, instead of having one cycle that includes in the middle, let's break it into 3 cycles where we say 6 on, 1 off, 6 1, 1 off. But we then redesign a disciplined approach to achieve what we want to achieve, even if it takes a little bit longer. But we do not set ourselves up for failure. Because if you're going to say to yourself, I am not going to want to indulge on Christmas Day, you're setting yourself up for failure. So that we actually
100%.
manage it within the goal setting. That's what we do.
Yes, very good. Because many of us also have been programmed to be polite. And so you can't say no to food. And also many of us have been programmed that wasting food is bad. So we eat it and then it's wasted because we put it in the toilet, right? We just process it. It goes in the toilet instead of the dustbin, and then we feel we've done humanity a favor and haven't sinned.
But you
So
see,
our
that
programming comes back to
now
a
I'm going
lot
to show you
of this
that
stuff.
program is often inspired or influenced by real activities in your life. Take me. They call me the Hoover, you know, the vacuum cleaner on the table.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, say no more.
I was in the Defense Force, and we were doing a 26-day counterterrorism patrol. That's what it was, okay? And twice they didn't deliver our food in that 26-day period. Now you're carrying your full pack. First time was 4 days, and the next time was 3.5 days in the 26 days that we actually did not get any food because it was dropped by parachute and we couldn't find our food. Since that time, I've got an appreciation for food, and I hate food being wasted. That's why I've become the vacuum cleaner. I'll help a little bit. I just do not like wasting food. And also, I'd help people say, rather put less in your plate and don't ever indulge so that it doesn't go to waste. You can always put it in a little Tupperware and bring it out some other time. But, you know, your approach, again, if you are a disciplined person, you have a disciplined approach. It changes how you approach anything through goal setting and through lifestyle. And, well, behavior is a set of things. The way that you do things is different than the way I do things. I mean, can we agree to do karate? You have to be disciplined. Yeah, you can't
100%.
you just don't drop into a grading. You work for it. In fact,
But here's
if anything came easy, would we do it? Of course.
No. Here's the fun thing that I've been trying to play golf as long as I've been training karate. I'm cocked at golf and I'm good at karate. So that all of the discipline in the world, I've been to lessons, I've been to the driving, I've put hours and hours, best clubs in the world, wada, wada, waka, waka, played 2-3 times a week. Still, look, it's got better and better, but
okay, let me put
I'm
it this
natural at
way.
karate and I'm not natural at golf.
What percentage of people in the world playing golf have actually played better than 100 score? Only 26%. Now, that's something to celebrate. So if you're one of those golfers that have actually broken the 100 consistently, and you've got to a point, I happen to know, have consistently broken 90. Well, I'm in the first top 26% of the world because I've broken 100, I've broken 95 quite a few times, but I've maybe once or twice broken 90, and that is my skill level that I have. But you've broken 85 a few times. I would even dare to say, I wonder if you've ever broken once or twice, maybe you've broken the 80. And it just
Twice,
shows.
and you were with me once.
Okay, at a skill level, but it's focus. As focus brings it. But on average, so what makes it, I'm the top 26% of the skill level, and you're in the top 11%. That's the way it is. And yeah, you know, Gary Player says if you practice long enough, you get lucky enough. Well, you know,
Didn't work
we've
for
always
me.
said if you spend 10,000 hours at something, you'll become a master. Well, you now spend more than 10,000 hours on golf. It has still mastered us because then you get that one shot that is just so beautiful and it brings you back to the game. But yes,
there's another thought though with golf, and it's quite interesting. If you practice the wrong swing 10,000 times, you've perfected the wrong swing.
exactly.
So it's not just practice, it's practicing the right thing.
So that's a bit of an anomaly, but still the thing is, how can you envelop, how can you wrap the word discipline around golf? Number one, If you do it because it's good exercise, you'll go and do it. You'll find a way to do it. Number two, if you do it because it's your way of connecting with nature and it's just a special day out for you, you will find a way to do it. So everything has got an attachment. I mean, Christmas got an attachment of family and joy, and there's just an emotion around Christmas. Uh, Golf in itself brings that exact. It is an activity that brings joy, not too often, not to a lot of people. They don't get the joy, but still, they still go and play it because it's the out. It's the friends. Like they say, I'm going to forget from here that you ever broke that 81s with me because I'm human. But what I'll never
Mm.
forget is how seriously we tried to get that hole in one, and that we both were this far from the flag, and it was so close. And how I actually lose my breath when your ball runs over the hole, and like I thought it was going to go in, it goes over. Yeah, that I'll never forget, because
100%.
you cannot forget that.
And we can weave discipline into it because I've disciplined myself to accept that my first, and you know this, we've got the same kind of thing. My first goal with golf is physical health, then mental health, then
Mm-hmm.
spiritual health, then some societal, some play golf with some nice people, and then play well. So actually, no matter how I play,
Mm-hmm.
I've achieved 80% of my goal. But that I've only made that up because I'm not shooting 72 and 74 like I would like to.
But then
So
again, let's
sometimes you have to accept your
let's
limitations,
be
right?
fair. How many golfers do you know that have got a fifth Dan in karate?
None.
Well, exactly.
And a fourth Dan wife, none.
Exactly. So what I'm saying to you is it does have to do with gifting and skilling and ability and
Sure.
specific in a specific area. I mean, we both maybe can communicate. But when it comes to doing our jobs in specific ways, we'll still do differently. I'm not a carbon copy of you, and you not of me. I can't be John DiMartini. He can't be me. That's one of those
Mm-mm.
things. Can't be.
Tell me about your chapter in the book,
Okay.
Doc.
Well, it basically is about behavior modification, and it's taking and saying that for us to actually modify any behavior, we need to understand how does it all fit together. And I literally fit it together in what I call this triangle of life, which is the same as the hierarchy of steps of Maslow. And that is that
Yeah, I love
we've
that
got
in the
those
book.
areas of Maslow, whether you want to know or not. We actually start with a basic thing of the physiological level. Then we'll go into the safety level. Then we'll go into love and belonging. Then into esteem and adventure self-actualization. And I said to myself, what does that represent? And I then did a parallel, and I said that the physiological is the physical is really is your work, because you and I spend 80% of our day at our work, and so many people
Mm.
work and not effective and not happy. But it's because that will take care of the basic needs of what you eat and what you sleep. Then when we into the
Mm.
safety part, I said that's your environment. I said, now where are we exposed to most in our environment? I said socially, because environment is I chat to you, we chat to our buddies, there's social media, there's interaction. So that's why when they make the statement, environment is sometimes stronger than will. No, not sometimes, it's always. Environment is stronger than will. If you are in a group of disciplined guys, you guys will be disciplined. If you actually associate yourself with people with no discipline, it will erode very quickly because environment is stronger than will. So that's socially. Then we get to the relationship side, which is that emotional side that I call emotional discipline. Because if you want better relationships, you need to have the emotions in place, because adversity quotient plays a role in your emotional quotient. Because uh, so many people have got IQ, but zero emotional quotient. They just cannot contain themselves. Up into the next
Mm.
one is what I call lifestyle, and that's what I call financial discipline. And that's where the esteem comes in. You've done well financially, you've got yourself out of the jam, you have worked at becoming debt free, you've got some in the saving kitty, your lifestyle shows that you travel, because it's about a lifestyle that you've developed because your financial path has allowed you to do it. And then I said, what's on the tippy top? Self actualization. And that is where I say
Mm.
your life purpose. Your life purpose is to live life to the fullest and do it the best of the means of what you can. And are you happy with your life? So that life purpose means where the spiritual dimension comes in, where we meditate, we spend time, but that's where this all comes together. So I've gone through that triangle in terms of say, right, this is literally where you need to have your behavior under control. And if it's not, modify it to the best of what you are able to do. That's why coaching and mentoring comes in, Stephen, because take yourself, you and me, and we are sportsmen. I mean, you've got provincial colors, I've got provincial colors, but it doesn't make me good at all sports. I maybe
No.
might have a knack. But that's why if you want to excel, you consult a mentor or you get a coach, and that just makes you better than what you want to be. So that will happen with people who would I say, has got the value of improvement. Often they will express it maybe as excellence. Maybe it could be expressed as getting things done. But that approach says that you know that you cannot do it by yourself, and you get outside influence to glean from, to learn from, to go next level.
100%. Wow, that's interesting. You know, I've always asked, how do you change? Like if there's something you really don't like about yourself, and it's actually almost a drive, it's like something, it's almost an addiction. I mean, maybe addiction's a good subject to talk about, because that's harder to change because it's an addiction, and the only thing I know of is you swap one addiction for another. So you try and find a positive addiction, like being addicted to profit instead of addicted to cocaine.
Yeah,
That
that's
kind
good.
of a
But
vibe.
that is
So,
a start. I'll be honest with you. That exchange, because in fact we call the term remain in exchange. For instance, take a friendship. If the one person is always just moaning and bitching is never positive, and the other person is always uplifting and nurturing and nurturing, hey, guess what? That friendship won't last, because there's not a, you're not remaining in exchange of adding value to each other. Now, friendships is just friendship. It is what it is. But how few friendships last is because there's not this exchange. There needs to be a remaining in exchange that will actually keep that where it should be. Interesting.
and in my paradigm of what a relationship is, one person needs to be able to apologize to the other person when they've done something the other person's annoyed about, whether they think it was right or wrong is immaterial. If your friend's upset and they're important enough, you'll reach out to fix it, right?
It's good manners. It's good manners. That's got nothing to do with behavior. It goes with a value set. I mean, we either have value or you don't. I mean, I have seen the poorest of the poor with the much better value set than what I've seen people who are affluent, who've got money. So I think that
100%.
value set plays a vital role in terms of how you do things. Because I was actually smiling with Michelle the other day. We spoke about her value of excellence. I mean, because somebody needed a fan, and we looked around, there was an extra fan in the home. And immediately Michelle took it apart and started fixing and cleaning. And I said, that's good enough. I'll go and drop it. But her value of excellence would not allow her to make that gift available if it wasn't clean, because that's her level of excellence. I'm practical. It's like, the thing works. Slap it on, she can clean it herself. But I just saw the difference. I was focusing on my value, what we call value of getting things done. I've got a value. Doesn't matter what I do, get things done. For her, before that happens, excellence has to override that. Therefore, she wanted to clean it first. And she wasn't wrong. I wasn't wrong. It's just who we are. But who you are through your value system plays a vital role. Like, we've had to find out that integrity and loyalty are two different things. It was a big discussion in my relationship. Big.
Mm.
If you've been disloyal to my wife, she doesn't care whether you're King Tutankhamun. Guess what? You're out, China. You do not have a second chance because you broke loyalty. Integrity, we can talk about, but loyalty, not negotiable for her. And
I like that.
yeah, it's a non-negotiable for her. I'm different. Loyalty was not my top value. Like, somebody actually really hurt me in my life, but I forgave them. And I even wish them well. And when I see them, be blessed. And I mean it. But she says, because there was no loyalty, we do not have to drink tea with them. And she's right.
You can drink tea with them on your own, but she's not going to be there.
She won't be. Exactly, she won't be. So that's when I just had to realize, that there's no unique individual that is different. I mean, when you lift your thumbprint, even if you're a set of a twin, you got a twin brother or sister, it's still a different thumbprint. No one has got your thumbprint. You are unique. And uniquely you. And when it comes to discipline, well, it all depends on the influences, the choices. Let's face it, some people grow up in an environment that is so over disciplined that the moment you give them freedom, guess what? Zero discipline. They will not tidy their rooms. They will not clean up behind them. They become absolute
Stop talking
slobs.
about
But it could be influenced because they were over disciplined, and you're
yeah.
rebelling. You silent rebellion. I will not do it. And we all have rebellion. I don't care how well you spiritually you've grown. Remember that actualization with the spiritual on top. I mean, there are still things that will trip us up. I mean, I'm human. I trip up. Absolutely. The day that you think
Of
you're
course.
perfect, there's only one perfect person that does not breathe. That's it.
My good man, how do people, so we need to wrap up in about 3 or 4 minutes. How do people get your book? Where is it available?
It's available on Amazon.com. And as you can see, the book is called The Discipline Lifestyle. But what's important is here what it says, self-control through behavior modification. I find that people find it on Amazon.com if they put in self-control under behavior modification. Funny enough. Of course, I've got a link. It's listed on my Facebook group. If you go to my personal Facebook, it says my book is there, and you can click on the link. And obviously, if you go to my YouTube, I've got a link tree, and all my links are available where people can actually get hold of the book. But the easiest is just to Google it on Amazon and get it.
Now, why have you got a small I, small p, capital L, small I, small n, capital E in discipline?
Oh, thank you. Because when the book came into
I
fruition,
can tell you like that question.
it was a great question. All right, because that is actually the reason why the book was written the way it was written. Because when I was meditating on the word discipline, I literally got a little head bust in terms of, well, spell it. And I went DISC, boom. And I stopped. I said, oh, my word. What I've never seen is that the first four
Disc.
letters are the first four behavioral types, the D, the I, the S, and the C. I went, wow. Which means discipline can be broken down into how would the D, how would the I, how would the S, how would the C manage it. So that was sort of the first plot. Then the next part to that was the I. And the I was, I saw a little communication tower, like these Vodacom towers with the branches hanging out. I saw this communication tower and I was reminded about
Yeah.
one of my mentor sons that I work with. He always spoke about communication. Communication was his thing. He would actually say, look at the communication tower. So it was in my mind as well. So it's by association as well. Then what remained was the PLINE. And I was playing around, and I was sort of, what is it? Well, you're the acronym specialist. Work it out yourself. Okay. And I played around with it till eventually it was so powerful that I found that I actually trademarked PLINE. So that's why I can tell you what it means today. You'll see the L is capital and the E is capital because it stands for putting love into execution. Because here's the bottom line about discipline, putting love into execution. If you love yourself enough, you'll find the discipline to exercise right, to eat right, to save right, to pray right, and to treat people correctly. That's the difference. Because I
We
found
should actually just stop there and move on because that was very profound.
absolutely, and that's what it's about, is that putting love into execution is what makes discipline work. Doesn't matter who you are.
And then one other interesting thought is how close the word discipline is to disciple.
Correct. Because remember, disciple is an activity. A disciple is a following of a mentor that you respect. And the word discipline and disciple are interchangeable. Because if you want to become disciplined at anything that you sold out to, you'll become a disciple thereof. Is walking in the way of it. And that's why people with discipline achieve results so much quicker.
100%. Well, as always, it's been fabulous spending time with you. If we didn't have a time constraint, we would still be talking at midnight tonight. But it's always cool spending time with you. And good luck with your book.
Thank you, Stephen.
Sell hundreds and thousands of copies and make a couple of million. And just remember, all of us, when you do, let's have a big party.
Appreciate you. Thank you for your time. Let's be disciplined.
100%.